everyone, welcome to my channel, Inspiring Joy. My name is Jodi, and if you are returning, welcome back. I'm happy to have all of you here. So in today's video, this is the DIY flocking of ornaments that I mentioned a few other times in my other videos. And I'm super excited to try this. I've not done this before, but you know, when you have a determination to do something and you're excited to do it, you'll give it a try. So I was really excited to find an opportunity, or an option rather, to make my own this year, as they just kind of flew off the shelves earlier in the year, last couple of months. So you can still find some out there. I did see a few at Hobby Lobby maybe a week and a half ago, but they aren't all round. They're not the colors that I wanted. So I'm gonna try this and let's see how it works out. So I also want to take a moment to say thank you for stopping by and watching my videos, supporting my channel. It means so much to me. So let's do this. So first of all, you want to make sure you have your supplies. The supplies I'm using are the embossing powder and the Mod Podge, a container of paint, my paint brush, foam brush, my rub and buff, and I also have some ribbon and some sticks, wooden sticks, and a square of foam. The sticks, the ribbon, and the embossing powder I picked up on Amazon, and the other items I found locally. So to start with, you'll want to paint the entire ornament. So in this case, the ornament that I have has a large mouth for it at the top where the hanger sits, and I was able to hold that ornament pretty easily with the mouth and paint the ornament all the way around. So coat it with whatever color you want. I chose brown because my embossing powders are darker jewel tones, and I wanted a base color that kind of coordinated with the embossing powders and didn't let a lot of light shine through. So I covered the entire ornament with the brown paint. This is a this is an acrylic brown paint that I picked up a while back at Michael's Crafts. So you can use whatever paint you want. I found this easy just because it's easy to wash off, and I got a lot of it on my fingers and a little bit on my shirt. So I found that the acrylic was very, very helpful in that way. So after you've painted the entire ornament all the way around, then you want to set it on your wooden stick that's put in your foam core or your foam block, and that will enable it to dry a bit without you having to hold it. So just a tip there. And if you have another solution for that, feel free to use that. But for this, I found this very beneficial. So the next step is I take some Mod Podge and I pour some of it into the paint that is already on my plate. And here I also added some of the embossing powder. The second ornament I choose to not do that. I found adding the embossing powder with the Mod Podge and paint creates kind of a thick mud, if you will. So I add the paint that has the Mod Podge in it and do a second coat with that. So once your second coat is applied with the Mod Podge and the paint mixed together, then you want to take your ornament while it's still wet, and I just used a box that we had as an extra item and held the ornament over the box, and then used my embossing powder and just kind of layered all over the wet ornament. The trick here is to cover the entire ornament with your powder. I noticed that I had more stripes or striations if I didn't cover it as evenly as possible. So just keep that in mind as you are applying your embossing powder. It is forgiving, but you want to coat it pretty heavily around your ornament while it's wet, and then just shake off your excess. And it's pretty simple as that. And I love that color. Just that shiny, milky, dark chocolate with some shine, effervescence to it. Just beautiful. And then you want to set it onto your your stick there as well to dry, which is not an easy feat, mind you. Getting the stick back into the center hole of the ornament without touching the sides of the ornament. I will say I touched the side a couple of times and it sort of moved. The paint kind of made a hole, if you will, in the color. It took off some of the color, kind of scarred it, so I had to reapply. But it turned out beautiful in the end, so I was super pleased with it. And then I continued with the other three, which I'll show you here in a moment. So the second part of this project, aside from painting the ornaments and doing the embossing, is taking your rub and buff and kind of doing an aging of your hanger for your ornament. So as I took off all the little metal hangers to be able to paint the ornament, I am now coming back with the rub and buff. And the way I did this, you can do it whatever way works for you, but I put a little bit of rub and buff on a paper towel and I just sort of dabbed it all over the metal part of the hanger for the ornament. Now keep in mind, as you apply rub and buff, it kind of builds upon itself. And then once you've applied it, you want to come back with a dry part of the paper towel and sort of rub it off, as it were. And keep in mind, rub and buff will adhere to your skin and it is hard to wash off. So I recommend using some gloves if you want to protect your nails or your nail polish, your manicure. It'll eventually come off. It just took a couple of days. So just keep that in mind. So all of the toppers or hangers, the metal hangers for each, I have a small ornament too that I did, and that's the topper for that one. So I just put a little bit of rub and buff on each one just to make that a little bit more of a worn, aged look, so it's not as bright on the darker colored ornaments. So it is the next day and the ornaments have dried. Now I'm going to cut the ribbon and tie this brown velvet ribbon that I picked up on Amazon to all of the ornaments. First though, I need to add the topper or the metal piece, the hanging part, to the top of each ornament. This is one of the ornaments that came out extremely well, I think. It's almost like a sugary pink look to it, and I think it's super pretty. So now I'm going to add the metal topper that I previously used rub and buff on. I am patting off some of the excess. I did find that there is still some excess powder that when I picked it up, it still kind of dropped some of that. So I'm patting that off just to make sure I don't get any on my garland and things where I'm going to display these. So I feed the ribbon through the little metal ring on the top. And I'm going to tie a knot here just to secure the ribbon to the ornament, and then I'll tie a bow in it as well. So that will conclude our video for today. I really hope you enjoyed watching how I transformed clear plastic ornaments into works of art. I hope you find joy in your day, and thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye now.